Hey, boys and girls, ready to move on to our next lesson again, which is the same long division we've been doing for again probably 2 or 3 weeks. I know we had those kind of those half days, Thanksgiving mixed in, but otherwise it's just the same steps over and over again. And I would recommend either somewhere on your scrap paper or over on the side of the whiteboard that you're using that you write this out. DMSBR. Same steps we talked about over and over and over and over again. Again, I kind of keep harping with my group, at least every time that we're doing D, that's divide. We're really just trying to figure out how many groups are there, or how many groups can we make. M is how many have we already used. That goes underneath, right? So the D always goes on top, groups. M underneath, how many have we already used? S, how many are left over? That's when we subtract. And I'll kind of show you that through the first one. Again, when I set my problem up, this is another important thing. I take the bigger number, and that goes inside. I make almost like somebody kind of described it's almost like a sideways 7. It's kind of that division symbol, and then I'm going to divide that by 4. And so the little number, that's called the divisor, that goes out here. This one's called the dividend. And then the quotient, which is the answer, goes up top. Then I'll switch colors. Okay? So my first step down here, it's always the first step. Not like once in a while, not occasionally, every single time. Whenever we either start a problem in division or when we get to repeat. Always the first thing to focus on is how many groups can I make? Some of you seem to be jumping ahead to how many we've already used or how many are left over. Don't worry about that. Some of you are trying to do like 3 steps at a time, or you're trying to skip step 1 and go right to step 2. Not a good strategy. Okay? If you do this in order, it will work. I make this little checklist for myself and I check them off as I'm going. At the top is the letter D for divide. I try to do how many times can 4 fit into 1? It can't. So I'm going to use the whole 16. Oh, I wanted to make that red. I'm going to use the whole 16. How many times can 4 fit into 16? Or I always think of it kind of backwards. If there's 16 kids, how many groups of 4 can I make? And I'll kind of make my 4 chart over here because I'm going to use it again. 4, 8, 12. There is 16. I'll just do one more to fill out that group to 20. And so if I'm thinking about, again, how many groups can I make, the answer is not 16. This is what I mean when I say some of you are trying to jump ahead. That's M. We're going to get to that in a minute. That is important to figure out. I got exactly 216. But don't skip ahead. Do D first. D is how many groups of 4. And that you just count. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 groups or 4 teams. That's what goes up top. Since I use the 1 and the 6, some people again learn to put a little X here. I always know whatever the last number I used is, or bring down or whatever, that's where my first number goes. So my answer is going to be 400 something. Again, I was talking about this is not a waste of time. Some of my class was doing this today, and they were crushing it. It makes it much easier later on, just to skip count by 4. Okay? Because then that is really M. D is how many groups? That's the 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. M is the top number times the side number. There was 4 groups, 4 in each group. That's 4 times 4, which is 16. Again, here it was exactly the same. Sometimes it isn't. And I'll do some that are like that in a minute. Yeah, so how many groups? We made 4 groups, always on top. How many have we already used? It goes underneath. We used all 16 of the students. Next is S, so that was my M. Again, you can put those letters over there and just do your checklist as you go. I already did D, that was 4. I already did M, that was 16. Next is S. 16 minus 16 is 0. There were not any kids left over. Okay? And then you might get stuck here and say, I don't know what to do next. Oh, look at this handy little checklist that I made. I already did D. That was 4. I already did M. That was the 16 that I put underneath. And I just did S, which was 0. It went exactly into it. Next is B. B means bring down. My next number is 7. Okay, so D, M, and S, those are really the math ones. B and R are really, I was telling my group today, just what's called procedural, or just things you have to do next. And again, R just means repeat. Start over with your new number. How many times can 4 fit into 7? 4 can go into 7. Again, if I have 7 kids, I look on my chart. Again, this handy dandy chart. Okay, 4. 8, oh, I don't quite have enough for 2 groups of 8. So the most I can make is that. Again, 4 is not our answer. It's our, that's going to come next. How many groups did we make is 1. So when there's 7 kids or 7 whatever, I can make 1 group of 4. How many did I use? That's the other number underneath. We used 4 of them. There was 7. We used 4. S, how many are still left over? That's the subtract. There's then 3 left over. Okay, so I'll go back through because I forgot to check these off. 4 went into 7 one time. That's the division. 1 times 4 was 4. That's the multiplication. 7 minus 4 was 3. All right, and then I look here. What's my next step? What haven't I used yet? And I haven't used yet the 2. The 2 is going to come down. This is now my new number after I bring down that I'm going to repeat with. The 3 is from the subtraction. That's basically 30. The 2 came down to the 1's place, 32. That's what I'm going to repeat with. How many times or how many groups of 4 can I make with 32? I go to check my little chart. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. I didn't go high enough. Next would be 24, 28. I'm getting pretty close. Do I have enough for another one? 32. I'm not going to get any closer to 32 than 32. What I need to know is how many groups is that? Remember, I'm still on D. Some of you, again, you're just like, well, it's 32. We're going to get to that. Slow down. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. There's 5, 6, 7 times 4, 28, and then exactly 8 groups. Again, always think first. Start with groups. Whenever you repeat, always goes back to how many groups. That was 8. We did 8 groups. Then you're going to use the other number underneath. We used all 32. That means there was nothing left over. Again, in our answer box, and coincidentally enough, this is question number 1 on your assignment today. So for those of you that were paying attention, again, I don't want you just to go back and put 418 in the box. And I want you to know how to do this. You can come back and watch this video when you're stuck. Okay? Kind of putting 418 in a box is really just cheating yourself out of learning how to do this. Right? So that was going to be question number 1 on your assignment today. There are 10 questions. Guess which one this is? This is question number 2. Okay? It's 1,578 divided by 4. Yeah, you kind of do that backwards. You do the 1,578 first, your division symbol, and then the 4. Do a little black because I did that one in a different color. Again, my chart that I already made, that's why I made it over here because I knew I'd have a little more space, is actually going to come in handy again. Now I'm trying to see, this is where the chart is going to be different because last time the numbers went in a little bit easier. Here they're not going to go in quite as smoothly. I'll show you what I mean. I'm trying to figure out how many times 4 can fit into the 15. If there are 15 kids, how close to 4, how many whole groups of 4 can I use? Again, 15 would be like right here. It's supposed to be black. Okay. Right? I didn't quite make it. I didn't have enough for 16. I didn't have enough for 4 groups. I could only do 3. Again, this is where this little chart helps. The 3, the groups goes up top. I made 3 whole groups of 4. How many kids are that, or how many have we already used of whatever it is? That's where the 12 goes. Okay, that's the M. D is the groups. There was 3 groups. 3 times 4. Do it over on this side. D was 4 went into 15 3 whole times. 3 groups. 3 times 4, that's M. It's always the top number times the side. There's 3 teams. Each team has 4 kids. That's 12 kids. That's M. And S is how many kids are left over. Sometimes there aren't any. That's okay. Here there are. It's just 5 minus 2, which is 3. Okay, and I'll switch colors again. I did the original one in blue. Try red. Right? So that was D, M, and S. Now I'm going to do B in red. Again, B just means to bring down. The 3 is really going to be 30-something. The 7 joins with it to become 37. And I'm saying, how many times can 4 go into 37? I still didn't finish on my chart. I think I can maybe get closer. 32 was 8 groups. Let's see if I can get closer. Next would be 36, and then 40. 37, and so that's 9 groups. That goes up top. In groups, right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 whole groups. And then again, this other number that I'm going to use afterwards. I didn't get all the way to 37. 4 doesn't go evenly into 37. It's not a factor. Okay? 37 is not a multiple of 4. We worked on that last week. The closest I could get was 36. That was 9 whole groups. Yeah, so we use 9 groups. We use 36 of them. That means 7 minus 6, there's 1 left over. Right? Some of you look at this and say, I'm dividing by a number in the thousands? Like, that's crazy. So far, it's really just been 15 divided by 4 and 37 divided by 4. Don't worry about all this other junk and get kind of worked up by how much it seems like there is. It's really the same thing as doing 100, like that would have been 157 divided by 4. Again, most people are like, oh, that doesn't sound that hard. The answer would have been 39 remainder of 1. If there was no 8 here, right, we'd be done. 39 remainder 1. 39 space capital R, number 1. Here there's another 8. Or there's another number, another spot to bring down. That was supposed to be green. Oh, I waited too long. Okay, now that's 18. Again, the 1 from the subtraction with the 8 that we brought down. So that was, again, I did in red. Let me switch back to red. Mark those off. I did my repeat. The D, M, S, and then the B. Should have been red, but I don't have time to switch back. Okay, now how many times? Again, repeat. First we did 4 into 15. Then we did 4 into 37. Now we're doing 4 into 18. Yeah, already on my chart. Not exactly on my chart, but close. 18 is in between here. I don't have enough to make 5 groups. That means I have 4 groups. 4 times 4 is 16. And that means there's 2 left over. That's, again, another D, another M, another S. I go to bring down. That's from a different part. And there's nothing left to bring down. Once there's nothing left to bring down, then, remember on your assessments, you can leave a space, capital R, and then 2 for the remainder. Right? That's question number 2 on your assignment. Let's see if we can get to question number 3. 6,948 divided by 2. Seems like a whole lot. This is going to take a long time. Okay? I'll tell you, this is going to be the longest of the 3 problems we're going to do together. But I'll tell you, the math is probably actually the easiest one. Yeah, I know it's way over here now, but how many groups can we make? It goes up top. How many did we use? Underneath. How many are left over? Underneath that. Bring down, repeat. How many groups can we make? How many did we use? Underneath. How many are left over? Subtract underneath that. Bring down the 4 and join with that. 2 goes into that number how many times? Top. How many did we use? Underneath that. How many left over? Subtract. So I'll show you. How many times can 2 go into 6? 2's are easy. 2, 4, 6. 3 groups. It's not 6 groups. It's 3. I want to do a different color. Isn't it switching colors? I did 3 groups of 2. And I can kind of show you that in the picture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every group of 2 I'm going to stick together. There's a second group, and there's a third group. Okay, some of you are putting the 3 under here. Some of you are putting the 6 up top. It doesn't work that way. 3 groups, 3 times 2. We used all 6. That means there was nothing left over. It's just the top number times the sign. Then I bring down my next number, which in this case is 9. How many times can 2 fit into 9? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh, I don't quite have enough for 10. So only 4 groups. Again, you just have to keep that mindset. First step, always groups. Always, always, always. Some of you are trying to jump ahead to what goes under here. Don't worry, we'll get to that. 4 times 2. There was 9 kids. We only used 8. So there is going to be a leftover piece here of 1. Told you this one was going to be the longest one. But again, so far I've done 2 times 3 is 6 and 2 times 4 is 8. Another number to bring down. I bring down my 4. How many times can 2 go into 14? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Went exactly into it. Perfect. How many groups? 5, 6, 7. Groups up top. 7 times 2. We used all 14. Subtract 0 left. Let's try it different. I'll go back to purple. This is White's favorite color. Okay? Normally, again, we'd normally be done. People say, well, this one's in the thousands. Oh, cool. You just have to bring down the 8 again. Oh, it's different. How many times could 2 go into 6? That was 3 groups. How many times could 2 go into 9? 4 groups. How many times 2 go into 14? 7 groups. How many times can 2 go into 8? 2, 4, 6, 8. 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. No kids left over. Again, so what I don't want you to do is just go back and figure out and just put in, like if some of you get 1, 2, and 3 right, and then all of a sudden have no idea what to do, that's not going to be helpful. Right? If you just take the first number and you put 418 in the box, and then the next one you put 394 remainder 2, and the next one you put 3,474. You haven't really learned how to do this math. That's what I want you to do. If you get stuck, go back and watch number 1. This is number 2, and this is question number 3 in your assignment. Okay, this will help you. You copy down what I do. Go through it with me step by step. Write down the same things underneath that I do. Okay, a lot of you yesterday were finally starting to get it, and I was seeing a lot of good progress. Keep that momentum going.